Hey ladies, this is Underwired. Welcome to the show designed to uplift and support women all over the world.
Hey, I'm Lindsay. They call me the kindest kahuna and the imaginal connector. I love puppies, travel, great coffee, and all of you out there who love humanity.
I'm Betsy Wiersma, a serial entrepreneur and lover of doing good and having fun. My passion is connecting hearts and souls with art, ideas, and adventures.
Hey, I'm Shay Sparks. As an energetic catalyst and fearless communicator, I love to have great conversations with amazing people.
And I'm Sunny, mom of 4, here to shed light on what really matters. Together, we're Underwired. And now for the show. All right. Hey, everybody. Hey. Welcome to Underwired. We're super glad that you guys are joining us today. So this is a show that we do together, me and my 3 gal pals over here. You guys probably know them all by now, Shay, Betsy, and Lindsay. And we talk about stuff that matters. We try to empower and uplift you because we know life is hard sometimes. We do great interviews with people that inspire and uplift us. And every episode focuses on a different topic. So today, our topic is cooking. All right. Yes. So we want to talk about cooking, which I'm not sure. I don't even remember how this topic came up because I'm not a great cook, but we're going to talk about it today and we're going to have a lot of fun. Obviously, we're all coming from different levels of cooking and stuff like that. Who here really likes to cook?
Me. I love
Lindsay.
it. I love it.
Okay.
It's one of my creative expression modalities. It truly is. So we're going to have fun with this today. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we're all going to learn from Lindsay today on how to cooking with Lindsay today. And the rest of us are here just to support her.
True.
You guys are here to eat the product.
All right. So if you've seen our show before, you know that we have a lot of different segments in the show and we spell out a word that's related to Underwired. Let's see if you can figure out what it is. We're going to start with the letter B. All right, so I'm actually going to take this segment today, and for B, again, we're talking about cooking, but we're coming up with a word that relates to B. So I want to talk about the basics of cooking because like I just said, I am not a cook, okay? In fact, I kind of think of myself as maybe a short order cook. Like when you've got little kids, you guys know I've got kids that are like elementary school and younger. I've got one of my sons is in middle school, but you know, you're kind of like, okay, what do you need? It's like a needs assessment. What do you need today? What time is your practice? You know, let me make sure that you don't faint in whatever you're doing, right? And then you've got kids that have different likes and stuff. I would love to say that we sit down every day at the table for dinner and we do that. It doesn't really happen. Okay. Our lives are just a little crazy. We do in the morning, I make them breakfast. And that's kind of where I get to pat myself on the shoulder just a little bit because I do go a little bit out of my way for breakfast. But once, you know, school starts, work starts, all of that, like I kind of like lose control a little bit. So I'm 45 years old and I'm still at the basic level of cooking. So what I wanted to share with you guys today are some tips that I found. And maybe we can kind of talk about this just as a group, because I thought, you know, what are some of the basic things that people should know if you're going to cook? And we all kind of have to cook at some point in our life, right? Or you'll starve, and that's not a good thing. So I kind of went with my top, I think these are top 5 tips, and I would love to kind of share them and then get some reaction from the ladies. See if you guys have, you know, done this in the past, if you agree with what they say, because, you know, everybody does things a little bit differently. Okay, so for basics, when it comes to cooking, there was a whole list of them, but I picked my top 5. Okay, the first one is make sure your kitchen is properly stocked with the right knife for the task at hand. For example, you don't want to squish tomatoes with a chef's knife. You should be using a serrated one. So ladies, do you pay attention to the knives that are in your kitchen? Is that a big deal to you?
I'm going first. I like to cook. And yes, It is huge. It's kind of like in the garage. If you're going to use a tool for a particular activity, you need the right tool in the kitchen. And I will tell you that I went through many knives that just did not function properly. I even have a very specific bagel knife because I like the way that the serration works with a bagel. I'm telling you, I love my kitchen because I love to cook and I like different tools for the task. So yes, it's a big deal. I wholeheartedly agree. But I can also tell you there are 3 basic knives that you must have.
Okay. Do you want to share this with us? Yeah, do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You need a really good paring knife, which is a small knife that allows you to cut away pieces of vegetables or fruit. You need a really good serrated edge knife that cuts tomatoes, but it also can sometimes cut other things like bread, bagels, other things. And then you need a good carving knife, which is a super sharp, kind of longer meat knife. And it's particularly for meat and bigger things. But if you have those 3, you can cook anything with those 3. It's kind of like 3 different screwdrivers in your garage, really.
Oh, okay. All right. So Shay and Betsy, I'm assuming you guys not so big on the knives, you know?
I'll be the actually polar opposite, Shay, because you're probably so much better than me. So just now is when I learned that the tomato can't be cut by that bad knife. I've been squishing tomatoes for 62 years. And I always ask, dear God, why won't the stubby knife cut the tomato? So I'm like a knife not knower, kind of like technology. That's a different show. I just get out something and hope, pretty much.
Hope it works.
Hope it works. So thank you for the insight into the knives. It's a breakthrough for me. It's a breakthrough day. You take it away, Shay, knife knower. You're probably a knife knower.
Well, I am not a knife knower, but it's funny that you guys squished your tomatoes because clearly you laid them on the cutting board and cut down. I grew up with my mom holding a paring knife or a steak knife with the tomato and cutting it across. And that's how I always did it because I only had steak knives. So everything was cut with a steak knife. Vegetables, everything.
Hold up your hands, Kelly. We need to see.
How many fingers?
Yeah, I know, right? They're all there.
And it was all 10 fingers. Okay.
All of my fingers. Yeah, I know.
See, I'm really scared.
I'm
of
still
cutting
living.
myself.
I'm still alive. So
Yes.
clearly it worked. And it wasn't until I moved into my roommate, which is my brother, who's like an amazing cook. He has a whole knife's block and sharpens them regularly. And I just watch him. He does it like the chopping, like the cooking shows. And I'm like, man, that's so fascinating. I love to watch. He's like, do you want to do it? I go, no, I'm good.
You're like, I want to keep my fingers. Thank you.
I'll just watch you. You're so good at it.
Yeah. I mean, knives do scare me. Like when I see a knife, the first thing I think is like hurting, someone hurting someone with it. I don't know what, maybe I've got a weird brain, but knives scare me. So, okay. And we're going to move on with our list. We could probably talk about knives for a long time, but we're going to move on. So point number 2 again, we're talking about the basics of cooking. When you start cooking, prep your ingredients. And it even says put them in little containers or glass bowls so you never forget an ingredient. But isn't the same thing like just getting the ingredient out and just setting it on the table to make sure you have everything? Because that's what I do.
That's what I do. I'm with you, Sunny.
That's what I do.
Lindsay, do you use bowls?
I use bowls.
She's a prepper.
I have
Prepper,
a whole
of course.
set of little tiny bowls, and I put the right amount of the ingredients in each bowl. I got to tell you that part of that is just the fun of the creativity. Also, it's actually kind of pretty when you see all your ingredients all chopped up and pretty before they become anything. And it also, true. I find that with, what you're talking about, Sunny, relative to prep time with your kids, it's impossible to do this or very difficult unless you involve the kids. So guess what I did? I involved the kids and I give them each an ingredient and a bowl and then have them learn to measure, put stuff in, and we would prepare dinner together. We never or rarely ever ate it together. But at least we had a little bit of prep time. So there you go.
Oh, okay. Well, I have seen the TV shows, you know, if there's cooking on TV, they always do that. And it is, you're right. It's very pretty. Okay. The third point, the third tip is to read the recipe. Don't just skim through it. Take notes on the ingredients. We just talked about gathering them a little bit, but I think the key here is read through the recipe. And I will kind of skim through the recipe. I can't say that I fully digest everything. What about you guys? Any ideas?
I don't use recipes.
Oh, I'm totally a skimmer.
Well,
I'm a skimmer, and then I just throw stuff together.
I see when I get my box of Hungry Root ingredients with the instructions, I just pull out the instructions for the meal. It's easy that way. But yeah, I have recipes sent with the food with them in a box every week. I cannot tell a lie. And it just shows up and I make them. It's the in a box style cookie.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Works for me.
I do have a box. I do have a box full of recipes, and it's slowly gathering dust in my house.
That's really good. I was just going to say, super hot tip on this one is you can be a recipe skimmer if it's actually a cooking thing, like a chefing thing. But if you're baking, do not skim and do not mix up the ingredients because it does not work. Baking, I heard this once, is more like chemistry. And chefing, where you're just cooking, is more like art. And so if you really want your baked goods to come out right, you better pay attention to the recipe.
Okay, good to know. All right, so the next tip is once you actually get to the cooking part, if you're using pots and pans, specifically pans, they say do not overcrowd whatever you're putting in your pan. And the reason behind that is the heat will not distribute evenly, so things are not going to cook properly, which I guess makes sense. Anybody have any experience with that?
I'd say that's true.
That's true. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
It does. It makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. And okay, so this is fun. So this is the fifth point is an interactive one. Okay. So I want everybody to put up their hand. Everybody put up your hand. So this is about testing meat to see if it is done. Okay. And I just learned a new technique. It is called the meat doneness hand test, which I'm sure that's not grammatically correct. Okay. All right. So if your hand is loose, just kind of hold it up. Okay. If it's loose, if you press right here, this is supposed to be right here on your hand. This is supposed to be what raw meat, like the tenderness of raw meat, is supposed to feel like. Okay. Now, if you take, let's see, it's your thumb and your index finger and just bring it together, you'll see it tighten up just a little bit. That's supposed to be what rare meat feels like. Then go to the next finger. Okay. That's supposed to be medium rare. And then one more finger, that's supposed to be medium. And then one more is well done. So they're trying to encourage people to not necessarily cut into it because then all the juices come out and, you know, it kind of gets messy and whatever. So I'm not sure if that's accurate. You guys test it and let us know. Does that work? If you don't have a thermometer, right? Because you can always stick a thermometer in and test the meat.
I would highly recommend a thermometer because it takes so long to.
So you're on the grill, down on the grill.
I feel like it's so different.
Well, if your thermometer breaks and you don't want to cut into your meat,
And you can use the finger. And really good chefs can do that, by the way.
Good job,
Really
Sunny.
can.
There you go. There you go. Okay, so those are the basics, guys, of cooking. And I'm going to toss it over to Lindsay for our next segment.
Woohoo! That was so fun, Sunny. And now we're going to talk about the R word, which today is the word roll. Now, you might be thinking, cooking show, we're going to be making rolls or something like that. And I decided that we're not. We're going to talk about two things. One thing is my favorite, which is a rolling pin. How many of you have the rolling pin? I don't know. Out there in the world, how many of you actually use it for more than chasing children around? Right? No. I remember as a kid using a rolling pin to roll out Play-Doh. And one of my very favorite things to do was to make like pseudo cookies with the rolling pin. You know, I'd be out there just rolling, putting different colors, making these cookies, you know. And it made me think about something the other day. So first I'm going to ask you guys, what did you use a rolling pin for when you were a kid? What was fun about the rolling pin? What did you make? What did you do?
I'll go. Okay,
So-
so I remember with my grandmother making cookies, and especially, so you roll it out right, and then you get the little cookie cutters.
Yep.
And I thought that was really fun. So for different holidays, we would do that kind of stuff. So when I think of that, now I use it for making homemade pizza. Sometimes we do that in our house. So we'll have to like roll out the dough for that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think rolling the dough. Shay, what about you? What did you use a rolling pin for?
Yeah, my mom made homemade pizza like crazy. And so we did definitely roll out the dough to an extent, because then we would pat it with our hands.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So the only thing that we actually used it all the time for was whenever she baked bread, which wasn't that often, but that was, or pie crust. She used it for pie crust too.
Yeah.
Doing it that way. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
I remember that too. Betsy, how about you as a kid? How'd you use a rolling pin?
Well, when I listened to REO Speedwagon's Roll with the Changes, my favorite song. I mean, I won't sing it, but just a flashback there. When I listened to Roll with the Changes, I would get out the rolling pin and roll with the changes. And I was likely rolling pottery clay because I like to do hand-built pottery. This wasn't when I was super young, but this is more in my adult crafting life. But I would roll out clay and then you can build things. But it's really the theme song that goes with rolling, I'm thinking.
You just keep thinking of that song.
I just keep-
Get it out of here. Why? No.
There's I was just thinking of another song, the Rollin' with the Homies. Do you guys remember that?
No, I'm 62. I don't, but thank you.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead,
Oh my
Lindsay.
From
goodness.
Clueless.
Yeah, I'm going to go off the beaten path of this cooking discussion here for a second. I remember rolling out some clay too, but I also remember as a kid that one of my first entrepreneurial activities I did was I made mud pies, and I took my mom's rolling pin outside and made mud pies, and you can imagine how well that went over. Yeah, so that led me to the other R part of this roll is how to learn to roll with it, roll with life, how to let things roll off your back. You know, they say let the water roll off your back like a duck lets water roll off of its back. There's a lot of truth in that in cooking. You know, we can't get too attached to that every single meal we make is going to be the best thing that ever happened to this family, to this spouse, to this friend, whatever. You know, sometimes you have mistakes and it doesn't turn out the way you thought it was going to. What I thought would be fun to talk about is how do we deal with things that don't quite go our way, especially when we're cooking. What do you do? What's your typical first reaction? And then how do you respond?
Throw it in the trash can and go out to dinner.
All right. That's bad.
You know, I cook at altitude because I live out here in Denver, and that's a whole new game. So, you know, I've been making my no sugar sour cream, no sugar chocolate chip coffee cake, and that's my favorite little treat. And I made it here in Colorado, and then I made it in Florida, and it was a totally different thing, and it was a little crispy. I gotta admit, it's a little overdone in Florida because it's different than at altitude, but I suck it up and eat it anyway. It's such a miracle that I even made a coffee cake. I'm like, what's a little crust among friends? So I just got a little bit more whipped cream, throw some raspberries on it, and crunch through. And even if my cookies are a little burnt, I'm just like, but they're made. They're done. So I roll with whatever happens, gotta work. And I think that's how I roll in life a little bit. Like, well, that's what happened. Yeah. No harm, no foul. It's what happened. The coffee cake's a little crunchy, but it's coffee cake. And then so I have two choices. I could bag it, like Sunny said, and go out. But it's hard to go out for a sour cream, no chocolate chip coffee. No one makes stuff like that. So I go with eating the cardboard tasting thing. All right, Shay, it's to you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's funny. I was thinking when Sunny said that, I'm like, man, have I ever like just totally thrown it out and went away? And I'm thinking, I think I was raised with that. There's starving children in Ethiopia. You can't throw food away, right?
Right.
So I thought, you know, I have just sucked it up and ate it. And, you know, I've turned a lot of things in the Instapot to mush and went, well, here we are eating mush for dinner. And thank God it's normally just me. But if it's with other people, I apologize a lot. And that's how I get through it. And then I don't feel bad if they're like, I don't like it. I'm going to eat something else. Okay. I get it. I'm sorry. I just go with apologizing. That's how I roll with it.
That's fantastic. I love all of those, throw it out, go with it, eat the jerky, even if you didn't like it, just kind of run with what happened. And I think in typical Lindsay style, I'm going to go even a little bit deeper about how rolling with it is such an important part of how to live our lives, whether it's in the kitchen or otherwise. Because if we can accept what is, and my strategy usually is to laugh about it, and you can tell that we all laugh a lot, but it's really like, whoa, that was a science experiment gone bad. And I just go with it. Like, okay, well, what else could I make now that I've got nothing to work with here, And sometimes it is, hey, call Sunny and we're going out to dinner now because that's ridiculous. Or I kind of go back to the fridge and try again. That's the same thing that we do in life. Right? We find ways to accept the what isness. And what I would say this show is really good for our listeners around is learning how to roll with it, whatever it is. It's not just kitchen work. So I want you guys to think for just a second, and I'll share one of mine. What is something you've just recently had to roll with? And it might have been a little uncomfortable, but whatever it was, you had to just go with it, right? So mine was recently on a cruise ship, and you're going to hear about that a little bit later too in this show. But I will tell you that there was 52 people on this ship, and I was the mother hen trying to corral the chicks. And everybody wanted to sit together at one table, which is impossible on a cruise ship. And they were fighting over who got to sit next to who, And I finally just stopped them all. And I said, look, this is going to be like a cakewalk. You guys go sit down wherever you feel most comfortable. Just go sit. Here's our table. We're going to sit. But every night you can switch it up if you want to sit by somebody new. Right? So yeah. I just rolled with it. I didn't have a plan for that. I had no idea how it was going to work. And they rose to the occasion. They had to go with it too. There was a table for 52 and that was never going to work. So you kind of make things up on the fly to roll with it. And it generally works out. So how about one of you guys? What do you think? Betsy, go.
Mr. Cotter, call on me. Sorry, that's a flashback to some old TV that myself knew. So recently, I was working on a huge idea that I was in love with. I made an auction item for a big national convention, and I was putting it on a screen, and it was going to run with all the images, and it was worth $1,400, and it was all this great stuff. And the head of the whole thing said, I hate that idea. You can't do it. And I just said, okay.
Deflator.
I said, okay, because it's like, I don't need to win. I just want to contribute. So I just had to say, God has a better plan. And I restructured and I kind of did a promotion with the glasses company with my art clothing. And it's going to be even better. But in that moment, I really had to roll with it.
I love that. And just given the way that you handle that, Betsy, was so beautiful. And I know that whatever happens in the moment with the auction, it's going to be amazing. And for our listeners out there, I hope you're taking notes. What is a thing that you just did? And maybe you just have to roll with it today. So with that in mind, we are about to take a commercial break and we'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, stick with us. This is Underwired.
This is Real Talk. We discuss important issues impacting our world and how we as humanity can come together, overcome our obstacles, and move forward towards a bright and beautiful future.
Welcome back to Underwired. We are talking about cooking today, and we've covered the basics. We covered rolling with it and how we like to roll with it in life as well in cooking. And maybe we might want to use that rolling pin for other things other than just rolling out cookie dough or pie crust. But I'll let you decide for your discretion at home. And I have the A word for today. And for the A word, I have 2 words because why not be an overachiever? And it's really about appetizer. And the reason I chose appetizer is because I don't really have the ability to cook, or so I think, right? And oftentimes we think that about ourselves, that we might not have an ability to do something. But like we were just talking about, and I love what Lindsay said, is that cooking is like art, where baking is a science. It's a chemistry experiment. And not an experiment, like it'll happen one way or another. So if you want it to be good, you got to follow the instructions. And I have to say, the reason I chose ability on this, because my ability to follow instructions, I have to literally read it 100 times. So there are times when I am cooking something from a box or a bag or whatever it is, even a frozen pizza, I literally will look at it, go do it, and then throw the container away. And then I have to go back to the trash and pick out the container and read the instructions again and again, because I'm like, oh, what did it say? It said for 30 minutes for how long? Or, 30 minutes at what temperature? And it's like, the temperature's already set, the timer is already set. But in my mind, I've already lost that information. It computed somewhere and then spit it back out. But appetizers, I love to make appetizers because it's quick, it's easy. And for me, that's the art. And it's kind of the setup, right? So it's kind of that self-care, like how it's kind of a pre-meal, right? Mm-hmm. So think about that in your day. How do you set in an appetizer for your day? I know it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense in the fact of the pre-meal. How are you setting up your day before you go out into the world? And I'm going to head it over to Lindsay because I know she had her hand up, but I want to see, how do you set something up? What is your appetizer of the day?
I love this metaphor, Shay. It's really fun because I'm a foodie, obviously. And I really love the idea of how I set up my day in the morning is I spend about 20 minutes, usually just sitting and talking with God. Like just spending a few minutes just enjoying the peace and quiet. I have a cup of coffee. I have my little poodle next to me and we just chat. And it's this morning time that I especially love. It's quiet. There's very few interruptions. The West Coast is not awake yet, so that makes it a lot easier. And it's just, I don't know, there's a piece about just sitting and being and setting an intention and allowing what wants to come to me that day to show up. And it's a beautiful time, and it is an appetizer. It feels very joyful, very harmonious, very peaceful, and it sets the whole day.
Okay. Well,
so right.
I'm going to jump in because my mom from heaven is yelling at me. Tell them about the chips. Tell them about the chips. So my mom had a rule that you could never serve an appetizer by putting a bag of chips on the counter. The chips have to go into a bowl. And so I am horrified when I walk into someone's house and they have like the hummus and the bag o' chips. It is horrifying. My mother turns over in her grave. Do you never put a bag o' chips on the counter, honey? I will come and haunt you. I will dump the chip bag on the floor. I've taught you better than that. So everyone needs to know, do not serve bag o' chips. Okay, that's from Norma. She's the big cook. But my appetizer for the day is just like Lindsay's, but my legs are up the wall. So you got a visual. You put your bottom up against a wall and your legs up straight. So you're at an angle, 90 degree. And actually for your hip and your back, and for me, for my hip replacement, history, I have to start the day with yoga. So I spend 20 minutes in strange positions with my legs above my head. And that's where I talk to God and say, now that I'm in position, let's talk. Can we talk? My legs are up the wall. And just aside, when I'm with my legs up the wall, and I do call you, Lindsay, my dogs start fighting near my head.
Totally.
So there's something about my legs up the wall. My dogs start fighting near my head and I'm yelling into the phone. Sorry, Lindsay, my dogs are fighting near my head.
This is a true story, everyone. True story.
So remember about the chips, and when you put your legs up the wall, watch out for your dogs.
But it's a great way to start the day. And I've witnessed you actually really enjoying the piece of that for yourself. It's lovely. Yeah. Besides the dog fight. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, okay.
Well,
so
I love.
Oh, go ahead, Shay.
Jay, do you want to talk about dogs while you're like, I get it. I get it. It's compelling.
I do, because it goes back to what Lindsay said about the meditation, right? You just you gotta go roll with the punches. There we go again. Go with the rolling pin. I love that you both have meditative states that you go into. Sunny, what is your answer?
Yeah. So I was thinking, gosh, you guys are so organized. And I feel like because, I don't want to blame everything on my kids, but I feel like they're like the driving force for like everything in my life.
Yeah.
So I picture having a morning that's beautiful. Lindsay, I love what you said, like being able to wake up, have a cup of coffee, have your dog there. Like, I love that. It's not a big deal, but one thing that helps me in the morning is, first of all, I think it's important, when you do have kids, that you are up before your kids, if you can, because the worst thing is to be woken up with an issue, like, them coming at you, because you didn't have a chance to like gain your composure, figure out what day is it, what's going on, just to like, just be you for a second before you put on your mom hat. So I think that that's really important. That's something I tell new moms all the time. Wake up if you can before your kids. I don't care if it's 10 minutes, just collect yourself, just be in the moment with yourself for 10 minutes. So I do that. And then I go into all of my kids' rooms and I wake them up and I give them like a hug and a kiss. And that to me is, it's like, it's a little bit of that dopamine, like just love on your kids thing. And they haven't had a chance to fight yet. They're usually in a pretty good mood, believe it or not. I don't have grumpy kids like, oh, you woke me up. That'll be the teenage years. Give it 5 years, guys. I'll go through that. But right now it's, hi, mommy. And then the dog comes running. Hi, Sadie. And then the dog plays on the bed. And then I go make them breakfast. So that's kind of my routine right now is just getting that little loving from my kiddos that helps me.
That's sweet. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I love all these beautiful appetizers because that's literally what we're doing is starting the day, starting our meal of the day by doing all these beautiful things to get it started. And the ability kicks in where, Betsy, you mentioned the chips. I will be the first one when there is a potluck that I write down chips and salsa because I know that I can do that, whether it's run by the store literally at the last minute as I'm going to the event, or if I prepare something, because I do make a really good bruschetta salsa. And so one day I'll have to share that recipe with you. Yeah. And it's literally just throwing stuff together. So there is no follow me. It's follow me for more tips on throwing stuff together. And for me, appetizer, what I do, how I start my day lately is I'm normally awakened by a cat scratching on something to wake me up. It's normally a door, wants to get in, wants to get out, but the door is open. It just wants to scratch at the door. And so it's normally about 5-ish a.m., which is not my normal time at all. But in order to let it leave me alone, I go get it treats, go to the bathroom, and then if I can't go back to sleep, I just get up and I go walk on the beach. And I am now near the beach in order to do that. And let me tell you, what an appetizer to start my day. It is glorious. It's beautiful. And I think you'll see more of that in future episodes. So you'll have to check it out. So we're going to throw it over to Betsy for our next segment.
The Wow Woman of Wonder. Woohoo! Okay, funny and true story. We had some homes up in Keystone in the mountains, and we met the man that lived next door, and I got a tour of their house, and it was gorgeous. It was antiques and art, and I saw this 3-dimensional woman, and it said, "Be beautiful," and it was all embroidered, and I said, I got to meet your wife because anybody who would decorate a house like this, I'm going to like. So fast forward, I'm having a women's retreat. And what happens? I hear knock, knock, knock on the door, and inbounds this 5'2", white, spiky haired, round glasses. And she says, "I'm your neighbor, Mo." Well, that was the start of my life changing forever. She literally bounded into the retreat when we said, "Dear God, send us. What is next in our life?" And she pops in. She comes walking in. There's 8 women there all praying and lifting up her hands, and in pops Mo. And that began our worldwide adventures. And so she said something like, "Want to go to Paris?" And, I just was like, Yes.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
Me
because
too.
she goes
Yes.
to Paris all the time and she has a friend with a flat in Paris. And then one time I said, oh, I just watched that movie about people retiring in India. She said, well, want to go to India? I own a cab there and they'll drive us around the country. And I'm like, sure, let's go to India, because I'm a little girl from Indiana, not India. And I'm thinking like, I'm never going to go to India unless I went with somebody. So that is the preamble to an amazing woman, a philanthropist, a do-gooder, a crazy woman. For her 70th birthday, she went on 70 trips. 70 trips. And she is always cooking up something. So let's meet the amazing Mo Rouse.
Here we are in Cincinnati, Ohio, going to the fabulous Mo and Jack's place at the Rouse Theater tonight with the amazing wow woman, Mo Rouse. Oh, Mo, I just want the whole world to know you and to sleep with you in Paris and to have to hear the neighbors doing their thing. But I digress. Mo.
So did they.
Mo, please introduce yourself and tell everybody just a little bit about you.
Well, that's hard because I'm 78 years old, and so telling a little bit about someone who's 78 and who has had a pretty full life would take forever, and I wouldn't do that to anyone watching or listening to this. Grew up in a small town in Michigan, went to the University of Michigan for 3 degrees, became a professor of media, also a consultant for trial attorneys, voiceover person, a bunch of things. And only a bunch of things because I really lucked out.
And why would you say that you lucked out?
Well, I lucked out, and part of it's also just, I think, smart. I never got an option to do something that I didn't try. You know, if someone said, oh, you should da-dum, I tried it. And obviously some things don't work out. But I think if you try things, especially try things in an area that you think you might have some expertise or talent or something, it happens. And so I ended up with 4 professions, all of which were great, but I got in on the ground floor because someone said something and I followed up. I'm really good at following up and connecting the dots.
Well, tell everybody about when you were in the USO, because I still have been lucky enough to see some of those pictures, hear some of the memories. So of all the fun things you've done in the world, one I want to call out is when you were in the USO.
Well, actually, Betsy, it wasn't the USO up until the time that 15 of us went over to perform during the Vietnam War. Up until then, it had always been the USO who sent people and Bob Hope periodically. This was the Defense Department, and they decided that they should send people the same age as the soldiers and the nurses. And so they sent 15 of us from the University of Michigan. We had a general show of singing and dancing. We had four musicians, 1 MC, and what does that leave? 10 performers. And we went over for 3 months, and we didn't go into Nam. We went to hospitals and R&R bases throughout the whole Pacific.
Wow. What a cool thing to do. Well, you've done so many things in your life. You've helped the American Red Cross, you've been a donor, but now you've endowed a beautiful playhouse here in Cincinnati. So talk about living a life with a legacy.
Well, I think when you have children, I never felt maternal, to be honest. And I think the fact that I taught at a very early age, I started teaching college when I was 19. And so I was nurturing young people. I didn't need to have my own. And so we didn't have children. And we were both lucky and worked hard and were in the fields that we were good at. And so, life was good to us in terms of a comfortable living. And so, at this point in our life, there was an opportunity to underwrite a naming opportunity for the new theater in Cincinnati. And we decided that was our legacy. I mean, a lot of people, it's their children. I wish a lot of people who had children would give more of their money to not just 1 or 2 children, but would spread it around a little bit more. But that's my philosophy, and it's hard to get people to buy into it if they have children. But anyway, enough said about that. But there's a line in Thornton Wilder's book, The Matchmaker, on which Hello, Dolly is based. And at one point, she's talking to her dead husband, and she said, money's like manure. You've got to spread it around to see young things grow. And I've always believed that. And this way, thousands of people every year can see a theater in this beautiful theater. And so it really is spreading it around, and it'll last way beyond when we're here to enjoy chorus line, as I'm doing tonight with you.
Well, the world is so happy to have another Wow Woman of Wonder. Thank you so much, Mo Rouse.
Thank you.
See? And I slept with her in multiple countries. And
may want to clarify that.
She put up with my snoring. We shared accommodations.
Okay,
what I mean. Not anything on the down. No, come
Just
on.
saying.
This is Underwired. So I went last week to Cincinnati, Ohio, to the Mo and Jack's place at the Rouse Theater, and we saw Chorus Line, which was not as good as Sunny's Chorus Line, this and that, when she was in high school. I digress, but it's funny. I saw Chorus Line when I was probably 25 on Broadway, and now I saw it at age 62, and it was a different show, even though it was the same show, because I'm in such a different place of all the stories of the cast and, their parents and all the things. And as a young person, I wasn't a mom, and so anyway, so Mo is leaving a lasting legacy. And I want to ask you girls, what are you cooking up as your legacy? And I'm going to start, Shay, with you. What are you cooking up?
I love this question.
Well, I love this question. I love that she didn't have children and she left it to the arts. I mean, that's just beautiful. For me, I really want to leave a legacy of making a positive impact in other people's lives. And my goal is to one day start a foundation where it helps other nonprofits who are helping people who have experienced trauma in some way, shape, or form, and be able to use their voice. So that would be my legacy.
Wow. And I know you do so much for servicemen and women already, just every single day. Okay, I'm going to call it out and go around the boxes. So Sunny, what are you cooking up?
I am really passionate about people getting the word out about whatever it is that they're passionate about, right? Simplifying media, making more voices heard. I think the world is changing. I think we need to listen to each other more, and encouraging people to do that in various ways through various formats and stuff, but encouraging communication between people so we can create a better planet. I feel like if I were to point to one thing that I would hope to be my legacy that I'm working to make my legacy would be that.
Well, shout out to United Network and the beautiful job you do as anchor, Sunny. You brighten up my week 3 times a week. I get a little bit of Sunny. So that's awesome. Lindsay Andriotti, you have to pick one of your multiple cooking ups for your legacy.
I think underneath it all, my legacy is one of just spreading more kindness in the world. It really means a lot to me to focus on kindness, to look for kindness, to share the kindness, and to really exemplify what does it mean to be kind, even in the most difficult situations. That's probably my deepest legacy, but I have to put right up there, friends, food, and fun, because those 3 F's are a big part of my legacy. So,
well, yeah, that's how you serve, though. That's how you show up, and that's why we show up at your house to eat your food and go on your boat, school, fun trips.
Right now,
we love your hospitality, and I would say mine. I really am clear that this Art on Purpose thing is something that I want to leave as my legacy, is that art will save the world, where art be happy. Art will change your day, whether you look at it, you're part of it, you read a poem, you meditate, whatever brings that right brain creativity in and releases, like Sunny does by kissing her kids, releases those endorphins. I think that's the legacy. And I think the legacy is what we're doing here in Underwired, which is uplifting and inspiring the world with quirky stories, bad singing. Okay, that's me, and all kinds of fun. So we're going to take it back to break. We're going to be back with some more fun here on Underwired.
Hello and welcome to United Network News. I'm Sunny Galt. Now let's check in with our ground command, Kimberly Gogan, from the Office of the Guardian. And she has her whiteboard. Hi, Kim. going to be. It's up to me. It's up to all of us to come together. I'm Sunny Galt. Join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for The Real News.
Well, that's just the best words ever, Sunny. It is up to us to come together. And here we are, the four of us in Underwired, along with hopefully hundreds of others of you who are listening to our wonderful conversation today. We've been talking about cooking, and it's a day of cooking. But for this next moment, we're going to get outside the box. Woo-hoo! So Lindsay was outside the box for about 10 days this week. And I went on a ship. I went on the Celebrity Constellation to 5 of the most beautiful places in the Caribbean. And one of my favorite parts about cruising, honestly, besides just getting outside the box and changing the entire environment that I'm in, is that I get to meet people from all over the world. And it's super interesting to me what they do, how in the world they got on a cruise ship, and what their experience of life has been up until now. So I tend to be kind of this little roving reporter outside the box on a cruise ship. And I had the opportunity to meet with this young man. I met him day one because why? I ordered coffee. And his name is Aditya, and you're going to meet him right now, and then I'll tell you the story. Hi, everybody. I'm Lindsay, and I'm with Underwired, and I'm outside the box. And today I am with my really dear friend, Aditya Wiratama. Wiratama.
Yeah, Aditya Wiratama.
Say it again.
Aditya Wiratama.
Wiratama. See, it's an important name, and you're going to want to know this name for later because Aditya is a championship barista. Tell me how you got started doing barista work and what makes you want to make beautiful designs inside the cup.
Okay, I start learn about the barista is 2019, and about the learn latte art is 2 years. I learned about the latte art 2 years, and
so you did actually a competition. Was this in Bali or is this somewhere?
Bali, in my country.
In your country. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. And when a competition happens, how many people are competing for barista?
Barista 100 competition.
100 competitors. That's amazing. So 100 people are in there making up foam and doing
Foam and latte art.
latte art. I like that. That's really cool.
Latte art.
Very cool.
Yes.
So Aditya, tell us about what it's like being in Bali and serving coffee. Do you have Balinese coffee?
Balinese coffee, yes, we have from Kintamani. The taste like a fruit. Yes.
It tastes more fruity. Oh.
Orange.
Orange flavor.
Yes, orange flavor. This Kintamani is good.
I gotta try some of this. Maybe I can get some on our trip. Today, Aditya is with me on the Celebrity Constellation, and we actually happen to be parked in Dominican Republic at Puerto Plata. So today, he gets to work as the barista. And what do you get to do this evening?
Evening? Yes, I work still in Albacho in barista too.
So he's going to be a barista all day, everybody. Yeah. So just tell me why. What do you love about making the images, the latte art, and what feels good to you?
I feel I'm looking in the Instagram, and then I'm very excited to I will to try the latte art, and yes, and then learn, looking at video and learn again. Yes.
So you love to learn.
Yes.
Yeah, and he looks at a picture and turns it into latte art, and I just think it's fabulous. So thank you so much, Aditya, for making magic in the cup every single morning that I've been here, and we just so appreciate you. I can't wait to see. We're thinking we're going to open a coffee shop in Daytona, so keep looking for that. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, he was just a lovely soul. Did you see what he made?
Yes.
Every single morning, I got a new picture, and that one in particular was for my mom. It was a goat. And I'd asked him, do you think you could do a goat? And he literally, from his just memory, he didn't have a picture. He made that image of a goat. But I got a seahorse. I got a flying Pegasus. He was amazing. And I couldn't even imagine what it must take to do that. And what I thought was cool about being outside the box is that Aditya kind of blew my mind, that it was possible to do that in a tiny cup with foam? And so, the outside the box metaphor was really great. Yes, I was in Dominican Republic on a cruise ship, but also just this idea that every single one of us has some little cool, unique talent that I bet we don't even know we have. And here was this guy making latte art, which of course you've seen little hearts and da-da-da, but he literally made like a Mona Lisa, it was crazy. So I am curious, what did you guys see in all that? What was your reaction to Aditya and latte art? What did you notice?
Well, he's on my committee. Art will save the world, one latte at a time. I'm going to sign him up, right? But I think what I love the most, Lindsay, first because you're just so beautiful when you go into the world. And this is one of many outside the boxes you've really rocked. I love that Be Here Now. That art is everywhere around us. And if we just stop and take a breath, that it's here and it's sent here to uplift and inspire us, one coffee at a time, one tennis shoe at a time, one shawl at a time. I think it's everywhere. So thanks, Lindsay, for that fabulous work.
Oh, my pleasure. It was super fun. And I did talk to Aditya. He has designed the back of the coin for our kindness coin. So when we get to that part, Shay, I'll share a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
It's going to be cool. So Sunny,
well, I thought he was...
Shay, go ahead.
Shay, are you stealing my thunder again?
I thought he was so talented. I was in awe. Like, I've been waiting to jump in because he was just like, oh my God. And he did what? He did that. And a Pegasus and a goat and what else? It's like, man, he's so artistic. I love that.
It was pretty cool. Very cool. Sunny, how about you?
So, I think there's another metaphor in all of this, Lindsay, and that is doing a latte with very little, right? All he had was cream, right?
Yep.
And he made little masterpieces for people in their coffee every morning. So I think there's a really a good reminder for all of us in this is that you don't have to have a lot of stuff to really make a positive impression, to really encourage people, to, it's the little things sometimes. It reminds me of, I've been on a few cruise ships in my life. And another thing that I love is when you come back in your room for the day and they use the towels to create like an elephant and like all these other like little creatures. And I'm like, that's just like a little thing that, they probably have done, quite a few times, I'm imagining, but it's just so beautiful. And so, I just think that you don't have to have a lot of stuff to really make someone's day. I think that's a good reminder for all of us to make a difference, whether it's putting a smile on someone's face, starting something new, working on a bigger project, right? Start where you're at and grow from there.
And the truth is, Aditya made my day every single day on that cruise. And all I had to do was go order a latte. Or a mocha, but I digress. That was fabulous. And thank you guys for enjoying the outside the box. And I am now going to hand it right on over to Sunny, who gets to do our mailbag.
Yay. Okay. So we love to hear from you guys, and we do that through our mailbag segment. And so this is what we do. We do have a Telegram channel. We're going to tell you all about it in just a little bit on how you can connect with us. But when you post on our Telegram channel, usually we ask questions and things like that, then we use them in our mailbag. And it could just be you commenting on an episode saying what connected, you to that episode, what you really appreciated. You can continue the conversation, all that good stuff. So each week when we do this show, we're going to be picking out these comments and we're going to be sharing them with our audience. So we've got a few that we want to do today. So let's go ahead and put up our first question for the mailbag. Okay, so this is for all of us, guys, okay? And this is from Wendy. Wendy says, I have your app downloaded, so she must be talking about the United Network app, but I can't seem to get the podcast live. How do I listen live? Does anyone want to take this one?
No.
Okay, I'll take it. So, you need to get in a time machine and go forward like, whatever, a few months. So basically we're not live yet. Okay. But that has been the goal from the very beginning. And, I don't think we talked about it yet, but our website, the URL is underwiredlive.com, because we know we are going to be live and we're setting things up now so that it can be live. But right now you're really not missing out on anything because there's no live feed. But we're going to change that in the future. And our goal is to get you guys, like we're doing with this segment right now, get you guys more and more involved, answer questions live, do that kind of fun stuff. So Wendy, thank you for submitting the question, and thank you for downloading the United Network app and being part of all of this. Just wait just a little bit. Let us, kind of get a few more episodes under our belt, and we'll make this live as soon as we can.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that too, Wendy, if you want us to come to your house and cook dinner and make an Underwired Live in your kitchen, you just got to let us know when we need to be there, okay?
There you go.
Lindsay will cook. Lindsay will cook. It will be Lindsay.
I'll cook.
Food will travel.
Done and done. I like
All
it.
right, next question. All right, so this is for Shay, but I'll read it. So Shay is single. She's single and she likes to mingle. What kind of person are you looking for? This is like an ad. Perhaps we can help. So I think Susan's just being supportive, Shay. I don't think Susan's hitting on you. I think she just wants to know. Maybe she's got a son or a nephew.
Oh, well, Susan, thank you. Thank you so much. I am taking applications. Yes. Gosh, what am I looking for? I am looking for someone who is kind, most of all. Just an upstanding kind of guy who loves life, who loves the people, loves humanity, and is willing to give back, and has a good heart. And gosh, what else? He's professional. He has a great voice, because let's be honest, maybe one day he'll be my co-host. And gosh, I don't know. That's a great question. And you caught me on the spot. I had a list somewhere I can send you, Susan, or maybe I could put it on the Underwired Telegram channel. Telegram.
Job description.
And maybe we'll put up an application process or something someday. But
okay, do you check his good heart with an EKG? Is that how you tell? He has a good heart. You just like.
I could. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we're not at that age where I'm young anymore. So yeah, I mean, I need an actual
submit an EKG to this Telegram channel
and current blood work that he's healthy.
Prove your dopamine level.
Because I want a life partner, not just someone that's gonna die soon.
Although, roll with the changes. Okay.
Yeah, a good heart
roll with
and someone who's kind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind.
Okay.
She wants someone living, guys.
Alive. Let's start with
alive. Yes.
We're real simple.
Honestly, and I will tell you this, because I have gotten questions about this lately. Like, is there an age frame? And I have dated younger, I have dated older, and it's really about just the energy of the person and the connectivity and the mature level. I mean, I know some really immature in their 60s and 70s, and really mature in their 30s, early 30s and early 40s. So I'm in the middle of that. So I'm open.
Okay.
I love this question, Susan. Thank you. And Lindsay's my spokesperson, so I'll hand it to Lindsay.
I'm going to be your
matchmaker.
Wing girl.
But I do think, honestly, especially for those people who are listening, right? I think the thing that would rock your world the most is if your guy showed up who absolutely loves the things that you love to do. In other words, you're very much into partnering and sharing. You would do so much better with someone who likes podcasting and broadcasting, someone who likes the beach, someone who maybe enjoys cooking more than you, but who wants to be in the kitchen with you, So isn't a cook without needing a sous chef occasionally, So you're a partnership and collaboration kind of woman. So the guy needs to get that, or he's not going to really fit in your world very well. And I'm just putting it out there because they can self-select, but some of our sisters out there may know that guy. So we don't know. Let's just ask for what we want.
That's right. And this is why Lindsay's my spokesperson. So you'll send applications through her. And then who knows? We might Right. We might take a whole new show after this, right? It'll be the Bachelorette kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's it.
So
We'll have a process. We'll have
dating now. Yeah.
the
Electronic
interrogation.
verification
The
of health
interrogation panel
show.
right
Yeah,
here.
everything. Center EKG.
I love it.
We'll call
So
it
thank you,
Wing
Susan,
Girl.
for that question.
Yeah. Good question.
All right, let's move on to our third and final question for this episode. All right, this is for all of us. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go?
I love these questions because I've been so many places. I think.
Okay, I got one. I'm going to
Go.
interrupt you because
Go, Betsy.
you have so many choices. I'm not making this up. Yesterday, I was walking with a younger friend and she said, would you like to go to Cape Town, South Africa? Because I want to freeze my eggs and it's $4,000 in Cape Town and $20,000 in the US. And I'm not making this up. So it is like travel for egg tourism. And she said, then could you give me the shots every day in my posterior so I can ovulate and freeze my eggs? So this is a new kind of tourism. I said to my husband, I think I'm going to go to Cape Town so Megan can freeze her eggs. And he said, I think you are crazy. And I've always wanted to go to Cape Town. I'll do underwired outside the box segments. Get your eggs frozen cheap in Cape Town. So I'm
Sounds like
throwing
an
that in.
excellent idea, Betsy.
I am thinking of a
Yes.
tourism vacation for egg harvesting for my really good friend Megan in Cape Town. Okay, just putting it out there.
Wow.
I love that. I love that.
Beat that one.
I love that.
Beat that one, girls. Come
That's
on.
creative. What did you say?
I love that. I would love to go to Portugal or Australia, not at the same time, but I could do it one trip and then go on to the other one. I would be totally fine with that. So the man has to travel too. Just saying, Susan. Okay.
Putting it in.
Nice. I'm going to follow on with Shay because I'm in the same camp. It's Portugal or Australia. In no particular order. Don't really care, but both. So maybe we're going together, Shay.
I'll go.
And Betsy's always in for.
Always in.
We don't need to freeze any eggs, but we're going to go. We're just going to go
let's
and
be clear on that.
explore the culture. I've been to Portugal before. I loved it, and I'd like to go again and see some of the interesting parts. For example, I want to take a cruise ship, of course, across the Atlantic to the Azores. Which is the islands in the middle of the Atlantic that are owned by Portugal.
Yes.
And it's a very rare place to get to, but I just really want to go. I want to go see what's out there in the middle of this ocean. But same with Australia. It feels like it's far from everything. It's in the middle of an ocean. It's just way out there. So, and it's big. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to say my place. It's a place actually my husband really wants to go. And so I want to go because he gets so excited when he thinks about it. And that's the Philippines. I think he's been there. I think he was in there maybe with the military. I can't remember. But he's been there before. He loves the culture. I think we, just get one of those. I don't know if it's a bungalow. I don't know. I just hang out and just be with the locals. They're such nice, friendly people.
Yeah.
I got to have the internet somehow. I got to figure out how to work that thing. But so just because of the culture and the people seem amazing. And oh my gosh, they have the most amazing beaches. So yeah, I'm going to say the Philippines.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Love that.
Good question.
Great questions, guys. Thanks so much. Keep them coming. So now Shay is going to tell you about how you can connect with us through Telegram.
Yeah, go on to Telegram app and look for Underwired. You can type in there your name and join us. The thing I love about our Underwired community is that we are interacting with you. We are putting all kinds of goodies in there that you might not know about yet. But since we've asked you lots of questions on here, feel free to interact with us on Telegram. You can find us at Underwired Live on Telegram. And the thing I can't wait to hear is if you have questions for us, if you have more of those for the mailbag, if you want to nominate a Woman of Wonder, if you have a recipe you want to share, or maybe you have your own cooking tips that you want to share with us. Along with, we also like to have some interaction with the kindness community. And with the kindness community, one of the amazing things that we do is when you put a question in the mailbag for us, we will, and we use it on air, Lindsay, if you'll show us, we will send you a kindness coin. And just like isn't that beautiful? And in the segment where she talked about how the barista designed it, there's new ones coming out. So you'll want to collect them. You might want to trade them with other people. But the kindness community, and we'll have a live link in the Underwired Telegram, but it is also oneofakindness.mn.co. You can go there and interact with us as well. And again, we're here to uplift and support and inspire the world, and we want to connect with you. So let's make this interactive. And I'm going to hand it over to Betsy for closing it out today.
A big wrap. Well, what a fun show. We've had our BRA words. If you didn't figure out that we spell BRA, we started with the basics, right? And we just really heard all those great cooking tips. And then we rolled with the changes. I'm sorry.
I knew she was going to sing.
We worked back in the roll with the changes. We rolled with Lindsay, and then we had appetizers and talked about our ability with Shay. So there's our BRA words. We love you. You get that? We love you. We love coming to you with Underwired. We love United Networks and their support of us bringing good into the world. We just want you to get on that Telegram channel and be part of our family. And we have a special gift for you today. My mom in heaven was always a great cook. Matter of fact, we did 2 different cookbooks with her. One when my company turned 10, I called it Cooking Up Success. And one when they had their 50th wedding anniversary and we celebrated my mom and dad. So she is a published cook. And at her service, when she went to heaven in 2019, we gave everybody a special recipe of one of her favorite breads. And so we have for you all today in the Telegram channel, Norma Weir's most famous recipes. Just a little gift from our heart and just a way to say that we were cooking up some legacy for my mom and cooking up success with all of you. So catch us, catch all of our past shows, catch all of our new shows, be part of our Underwired family, because again, we love you. See everybody next time.
Bye, everybody.
I just wanna love you.